Let us try to solve the exercise number 6 in the part A of C lab. This exercise is same even for BSc, and for them it is the exercise number 5. So in this particular exercise we are supposed to write a program to count the occurrence of each characters in a given string. So let's look at what is the meaning of that. Suppose if I have a string, let's say I have a string, and that is the string b to be or not to be. What is that I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to give the count of how many times the character t appears in the given string here. So I have a string here, to be or not to be. So in this t appears 2 times. So this is the idea. So I have to say t appears 2 times. Then the next character is o. I have to say how many times o is going to appear. So o will appear 1, 2 and 3 times. So I have to say o will appear 3 times. Similarly, there is a space after this, so I have to specify space, how many times this space will appear. So here, if you notice, there is a space here, there is a space here, there is a space here, and 4 times the space will be there, and so on and so forth. So how many times each character appears within a given string? That is what we are supposed to do it. So let us first understand how this can be done, and then later we are going to write the C program. So I am going to take the same string, to be or not to be. So here, let's assume that I have placed them in an array of characters, which is nothing but a string. And the t is there at the first location, that is yes. Let's assume that the string is given the name yes. So t is there at a s of 0, then o is there at s of 1, then that space 2, and then there is a space is there. So this space is there at position number 2. Then I have b at position number 3, 4, 5 and so on up to 14. So altogether, since we are starting from 0, 15 characters are there in this string. So the length of this particular string is 15 characters. Then how to solve this particular problem? The solution for this is in the beginning we are going to take the first character. So we will take this first character and then we will compare that character with the next character, and if there is a match we will increase the count. So again we will go and check with the next character. If there is a match we will increase the count, and so on. So we will keep on matching until we will reach the length of the string, and that will be the last character. Next time what we are going to do is we will start from the next character and then we start comparing it with the remaining characters, and we will see how many times this is repeated and so on. So every time what we are doing is we take one character from the given string and then we start comparing it with the next one. So let's see how it's going to work. So the first character is available at s of 0. This is the location where the first character exists. So we will start from that character. So let's start taking this s of 0, and the s of 0 is this one. Okay. Now because we have taken one character, so it is appearing at least one time. T is appearing at least one time, and it may repeat many other times, but T is appearing one time. So when you take one character, that will appear at one time. Then what is the next thing that we are doing? Remember, we are here, even though I have mentioned it here, that is, we have taken the first character. Then we start comparing it with the other character. So first thing, we will take the count as 1 because the character T appear one time. Then what is the next thing that we are going to do? So we compare this T, that is s of 0 T, with the next character. If there is a match, well and good. If there is no match, we will go to the next one. If there is no match, we will go to the next one. If there is no match, we will go to the next one. And we'll keep on doing like this until we reach a point wherein we find that the given character, that is character at the location 0, matches with some character within the string. When this happens, when there is a match here, there is a match between the given character and some character within the string, we will increment the counter to the next value. So number of time t appears up to this point, number of t appears is 2 times. First is here and the second one is here. We will continue with the comparison of this first character with the remaining characters, and if there is a, if we'll continue, if there is any other match, so if you notice there is one more match, we will increment the counter by 1, that is we are going to make the counter value as 3, and we'll keep on counting. Now one of the problem with this one is, see, when we start comparing t, we are compared this one, okay, and there is a match here and there is a match at this point, and we say t equal to 3. Now what happens is, in the next step we will start comparing it with the o, so we will compare o with the next character and so on. We will start comparing. If there is a match, we will definitely increase the counter. But the problem comes at this point. Suppose if I see I have compared t, and t is matching here and t is matching here. Now once there is a match, we have to remove this character. The reason is, if you don't remove, what will happen is, when we go to the next character, next character, next character, at one point what will happen is the same character will come, and we will be comparing. Even though we have compared t once, we will start comparing the t again, and we will say that t will appear 2 times. So the idea here is, once we get a match, suppose we start comparing a given character, and if there is a match, then we will remove the, definitely we will increase the counter. After increasing the counter, we are going to remove the character from the string, so that it won't appear in the subsequent comparison, it won't appear in the list. So if there is any match, we are going to remove that character. So after removing the character, how does the text will look like? So this will be the text. Now this is the original text that was there to be and not to be. So we started with the first character here, and we have removed this character, so t is gone. Remember, whether t is gone or not, it is not a matter, because we will, once we take one character, next time we won't start from the one, we will start from the next character. So once there is a match, let me show that thing. So once there is a match, so I've started comparing t. So once there is a match here, that is t is matching, I will delete this t. So t is removed. Again, if there is a match here, I will remove that t from the list. So how the text will appear after the first round is, the t is pulled out from the list. So t is pulled out and 3 appears 3 times. Next, what we are going to do is, the first character is over. So this is over. We go to the next character. We start with the next element. So we start with the next element, that is the element at s of 1. We are going to start with the element at s of 1, and then we start comparing. Now because s of 1 is o, o appears 1 time. So the minute we take this one character here, we will reset the counter and say that the number of times the s appears is 1. So let me just make it bold so that you can see that. So this is once, it is appearing once. Then we start comparing. Remember, this is already over. So we start with the next element. O is not compared with itself. O will be compared with the space. If there is a match, well and good. If there is no match, so this O is not matching with this, this, and so on. When there is a match, so when you find that the given character, so we are comparing one element, and if there is any match, what we are going to do is we are going to increase the counter. So we will say the counter increased by 1. And what is the next thing that we are going to do is, we are going to delete this character. The other one is, so after this one, we will not go to the next character. Remember, there is no next character because it is already deleted. So after this, we will go to the remaining character. After this, this is not matching with the O. So we will not go to the this one because it is already removed from the list. Then again we compare here. So when we compare here, we notice that the available character and the given character and the character which is there on the string matches. So the first thing when it matches, first thing that what we are going to do is we are going to increase the counter, and we will delete this character from the list. Again, we will remove this character from the list, and we compare with the remaining. So it is not matching, it is not matching, it is not matching. When we come to the end of the list, we say that the character O appears 3 times. What is the next thing? So we are done with the two characters. We start with the next character. Remember, this is a space. Space is see the ASCII value 32. It's a character by itself. So what we are going to do is next we are going to, so this is how it's going to appear after this round. O is removed because we were comparing. O is removed. This was removed before. O was removed. Let me take it out. Okay, so O is removed. O is removed from this list, and O is removed from this list wherever there is a match, and O is definitely removed from here. So let us take the next element. And what is the next element? Next element is the element at S of 2, and it is a space. Even though you don't see anything, it's a space character. We start with the comparison. So remember, the minute you get one character, we will first increase the counter to 1. So we will say the counter value is 1. Then we start comparing this space with the remaining element. So we go on comparing. If there is a match like this, so this space is matching with this space, so we will increase the counter, and we're going to say the count is 2. After that, we delete this one from the scene, and we go to the next element. So this space is not matching with the n. What we are going to do is we are going to start comparing with the other element. So this space is not matching with the n. Remember, these two are already deleted, so there is no match with the deleted items. Then we go to the this here. So we see that there is a from here. Sorry, we go here, and we see that there is a match, and we are going to increase the counter to 3. And definitely we are going to. So this was 3. We are going to remove this space, delete that space, and then start comparing this space with the remaining element. Minute when we get the match, we are going to increase the counter, and the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to delete this character from the list. So the after the this round, this is how it's going to appear. So these two were deleted already. Now we are deleting this one, then we are deleting this space, we are deleting this space, the space which are here, this space. So next we continue with the remaining one. Remember, we will not take the deleted items. So once the item is deleted, it is not to be, once the item is removed, it is not to be used for the comparison. Okay, so one thing you must understand here is that the program works with two different loops. One loop is every time we take one element. So we take the first element here, second time we take the second element here, and third time we'll take the third element, and so on. So how many elements are we supposed to take altogether? Together we are going to go to the up to this element. So we will take, once we take T, next time we will take O, and so on and so forth. So up to the last element we are going to compare. So if you take the length of this particular string as n is in this case is 15. I've already calculated and told you that there are 15 characters are there, because it's 14 plus 1, that means n is 15. So one loop will go up to 15. That is that. Okay, so which is that one? So we take every time we take one element. So first time we take s of 0, second time we take s of 1, Third time we are going to take s of 3. In general, we will take the ith element. So in general, so we will take s of 3, s of 4, s of 5, and so on and so forth. In general, we are going to take the s of ith element. So when I is equal to 0, it becomes a s of 0. When I is equal to 1, it becomes s of 1. When I is equal to, it becomes s of 2. When I is equal to 3, s of 3, and so on. In general, we say we are going to take the ith element and what we are going to do it. So let us look at this one. When the s is 0, so this is the first element. We will not compare that element with itself. We go to the next element and then compare. So s of 0 is compared to the first element. S of 0 is compared to the s of 2. S of 0 is compared with the s of 3, s of 4, and so on up to the last element, and that is you know very well, up to the length of this particular string. That is the up to nth element we will do the comparison. Let us look at the next one. When we take the s of 1, what we are doing is that is s of 1 is 0. We compare this element s of 0 with the next element, then the next element, and then the next element up to the length of the string. So every time in general, if I say that I'm going to take the ith element, s of ith element, I will have to compare that with the next element. Suppose if it I is 0, the next element is going to be 1. So we will compare it here. If I is 1, the next element is this one, that is s of 2. When I is 2, the next element will be the element at this location, that is s of b. So that means to say that when I take the ith element, I will have to compare it with the next element. That is, what is the next element? The next element is, if I is the general value, next element is I plus 1. So if I is 0, if I is 0, I plus 1 is 0 plus 1 is 1. If I is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. If I is 2, 2 plus 1, I is 2 means 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. Okay, in general that. Then we have to continue. After 3, we have to go for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So I will take one more variable here, j. So j will start from, what is the starting location? J is not going to start from 0. J will start from the next element of the ith. So what is the next element of the ith? So j will start from I plus 1. So if I is 2, the j will start from 2 plus 1, that is 3. So if I is 2, it's going to start from here. If I is 3, it's going to start from here. Up to how long? Up to nth. So j will start from I plus 1, that is the next element of I, and it will continue up to the nth element. That is the one thing. The other one you must remember, so there is two looping values are there. One is I, which will go from 0, that is the first element. It will start from 0 and it will go up to n. Whereas there is one more loop which is required for the comparison, and that will go for j is equal to next element of the I, that is I plus 1, up to the nth element. So we take the ith element, in general. So we take the, let's say, we take the ith element and we will compare it with the jth element, where j is starting from I plus 1 up to n. So if I is 5, so if the element is 5, so let's say this is the fifth element, it will be compared first with the sixth element, that is j is equal to I plus 1. So what is the value of, where is it gone? J is equal to I plus 1. So this is what is the idea here. So we will go j equal to I plus 1 up to n. So this is the idea. Next one, very other thing that we have done is, the minute we take one of the element, we start the counter, we initialize the counter with the value 1. So when I take O, I first initialize the counter with the 1. That means O appears one time. Next time if there is any match, then I will increase the counter. So every element that we pick, the counter is first initialized to 1. Then later we will, if there is a match, we will increase the value of the counter. Then what is the next thing that we are doing? So next thing that what we are doing is, once we get a match, for example, if when I compare the t, if there is a match, so this t and this t is matching, after increasing the counter, we will remove this element from the list. So that is the next. Okay, so we increase the counter and then we remove the element from the list. What is the other thing that we are doing is, when we start comparing it, if we find that the element is already removed, we will not make the comparison. So we will skip all the elements which are been already removed from the list. So we will only do the comparison with the remaining element, not the element which are already deleted or already removed. Now the question is, how do we remove the element from the array? So we will put a special marker, and that special marker is /0. This is called as the null value. So we will put this null value at the place where there is a match. For example, when I start comparing t, if I find that this t and this t and this t is matching, I will increase the counter. The minute I get the thing, I will increase the counter, and then I will replace this t with the null character. So I will replace this t with the /0. So this is what I'm going to do it. So let's go ahead and let's do this particular exercise. So I have the code block with me. I'm going to go to the new here. That is the easiest one. Click on this and then say new file. And let me take a C, C++ source. Let me click on go. Let me click next. And I'm going to take a C as my source file. And I will go here. Go to your location where your teacher has asked to store this one. So this is the exercise A5, I suppose, A5 or A6, depending upon whether it is BSc or BCA. So let's click on this one. I have given some name and let me finish it off. Okay, so I have the exercise, and I'm going to use the stdio.h. You are all familiar. So most of the time we are using this one. Okay, then the next one is I need to find what is the total length of this string. So how many characters are there in this particular string? So if I say to be or not to be, the length is this much. Okay, if I say tomorrow is a holiday, how many characters are there? So you have to count it. How many characters are there from here to the here? Now you don't have to spend your time in counting. There is a built-in function that does it. So how I told you that there is a built-in function that is going to calculate the square root of a given number. Similarly, there is a function to calculate the length of a string. And where is that particular function? That function is there in a separate header file, and that header file is called as where is this thing? So that header file is called as string.h. So string.h. So this is my header file. So I'm going to include two header files, and I have to store the string here. Definitely during the examination you won't write a very lengthy sentence. You are going to write a very small sentence. So let me start with the void main first. So I have this C function, and let me assume that yes is a string. So in this case, this string, whatever that string I have taken, I am going to name it as this string is yes. So this whole string, to be or not to be, is stored in a variable yes. So similarly, I am going to store, you can go for 100 character, that is too much, but let's assume that definitely you won't type 100 characters during the examination. You may type hardly 20 or 30 characters, but let's assume that we generously say that there is going to be 100 characters. Then I need to find the length of the string. Remember, in order for me to loop through the string, I know where the string is ending. So that means I must know what is the length of the string. I'm going to say that length of the string is stored in a variable n. N is going to give me the length of the string. And as you know, you need two counter variable I and j, which is I've already told you. Also, I'm going to use a counter variable to count how many times the variables appear. So this count is going to tell me how many times the a particular variable appears. With that, let me start with the printf statement. I'm going to say printf and I'm going to say enter the string. Okay, you can say enter a string or enter the or a. I don't know. Okay, enter a string, I suppose. Whatever it is, you ask the English department what is the correct grammar for that. Let's say that is enter string. Let's assume that it is a. So I'm going to read that whatever that is string is given. I'm going to read that string into S. You know very well S is 100 characters. So you may say that what will happen if you go beyond the 100. So if you go beyond the 100, you won't get time to complete your practical examination. So that is simple as that. Okay, so that will answer your question. So during the examination, you won't go beyond 100 characters. So first, how many characters you have typed? So you may type 15 characters to be or not to be, or you may just type Mangalore, Udupi, Karwar, or something like that, a very small string. So it is up to you. So you may type some character. What is the length of that string? So Udupi, if you type, let's say you typed this Udupi, so how many characters are there? How to find out? I have already told you there is a function called as string length, strlen. Where is the len? This is going to, it is defined in string.h. Okay, so this function, without this, that function will not work. I'm going to say, tell me what is the length of this string. So whatever you are typing here, whatever string you are typing, Udupi, Mangalore, Bangalore, or anything, to be or not to be, anything, whatever you type here, that string, yes, I'm going to get the length of that string and I'm going to store it in this one. So in my case, in this example, length of this string is going to be 15 characters, and I will store that 15 in this n. So that is as simple as that. Let us go to the next part. We will show the how many times each characters appear. So I'm going to use the printf and I'm going to say count of characters in the or in string. Okay, I don't know the or a, whatever it is. Okay, so in the string, and I'm going to give the count. So what is the meaning of that is, after this I'm going to tell this line will come. After that I'm going to say how many times t is appearing, 3 times. How many times o is appearing, 3 times. How many times face is appearing, so many times. So I'm going to give that thing. So how many times the things are appearing, and how do we do that thing? Every time we have to take one character. So we will take the first character, next we take the next character, next we take the next character, and so on. So this I told you, this is the ith character. In general, it is the ith character, I starting from 0 till the length of the string. So I first you take I of 0, then so first you take I of 0, then I is equal to 1, then I is equal to 2, then I is equal to 3, 4, 5, up to I is equal to n, which is the length of the string. So I'm going to use a for loop here for, what is that I'm typing? So for, let me start with for I is equal to 0, I less than the length of the string, I plus plus. So I did this one, let me put this one. Then what is the next thing that we are supposed to do? We are going to take one character at a time. So I'm going to initialize, the minute you take one character, you're going to initialize the counter is equal to 1. So we will initialize the counter to 1. So you know very well. When you take one character here, you set the counter is equal to 1. Okay, next time, that means T is at least appearing once. If you take the next O is appearing once. Then if there is a repetition, you say O will repeat two times, 3 times, and so on and so forth. So initialize the counter as 1. And what is the other thing that we are doing? So we will not consider when we drag it. Suppose if this item is deleted, next time we will not take that thing. So deleted items, that means the items which are already pulled out of the list will not be are taken, and we will not do any comparison because they are already deleted from the list. So only those items which are not deleted, we are going to keep them. So how do I say that? If s of I is there, so I don't have to compare it to f of I not equal to null. So let me say not equal to null. I don't have to do it because if the null value is if the null value means 0, so it is false. Okay, so the minute you put something as null, what is this null slash what is it slash 0, this value of it is 0. So 0 means false. Okay, any other thing means true. 0 means false. Any positive value, any number is true. So if it is 0, that means if when you take an ith value, so you pull out an ith value, so like this you pull out an ith value. If it is null, it is if it's already deleted, so its value will be 0. 0 means false. That item will not be taken. So that is the meaning of it. So I will not consider that item. I am considering only those items whose value is not 0. That means the null value. So these will not be compared with anything. If you find that this is 0, that is null, this is null, just skip that. So only those items which are not null, like n, e, b or anything which are not null, including the space. The ASCII, very well, ASCII value of B is, very well, it is 97, 98. So, capital A is 97 and 98, and this space is character 32. So, any positive means true, 0 means, false. So, if it is not 0, that means if it is not null, we will think of doing something. What is that we are going to do? If at all you take an element which is not null, for example, in this case, I'm taking t here, which has some value, some positive value will be there. Then what I'm going to do is I will compare it with the next element. So I take this 0th element, I compare it with the first element. The 0th element, compare it with the second element, third element, fourth element. In other words, if I take the ith element, I have to compare it with the I plus 1th element up to the length of the string. So this is what we are going to do it. So let us go ahead with the for loop. Now for j is equal to I plus 1. Okay, so next element, and j less than the length of the string, and j plus plus. So you get that one. So it is done. Now what is that we are doing it? So you take one element. Let me go over here. You take one element from here, that is ith element, and you compare it with the jth element, j starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. If there is any match, if there is a match, you increase the counter. So you increase the counter and then remove this item. How do you remove it? Put the null value at this location. So let us do that thing. If there is a match, so if s of I is matching with s of j, if there is any match, okay, so there is a match, then what is that we are going to do is we will increase the counter. So how do you increase? Counter plus plus, increment the counter and set s of j, remove that element. How do you do it? So we are going to put the slash 0, not slash o, it is slash 0. This is not o, this is 0. Put slash 0 there, and that is it. You remove it. So you keep on doing it. So you take this element, if you start comparing it, whenever there is a match, you increment the counter and then you remove it by putting slash 0. You do the same thing. If there is a comparison, you increment the counter by counter plus plus and put the null value here, and you keep on doing it until you get the nth value. When you reach the end, you know how many times this t has appeared. Immediately print and say that 3 is appearing 3 times. So you do that thing. So after this for loop, let's go to this for loop. After this particular for loop, we are going to say, where is this thing there? Okay, after this thing, Okay. We are going to say that how many times this has appeared. So let's go out of this one. So how many times a particular value is appearing, and we are going to say how many times it has come. How do you say that one? You just say what is it? Print f print f, and I'm going to say, because there is a space here. Let me put double quotes here. Say if when there is a space on the screen, if there is a space, you will see blank. So just to say that there is a space in between, I'm going to put a single quote here. Generally, what you do is to print a character, you say percentage %c, it will print a character. But what happens is if that character is space, in this case, you see this character is space, but you won't find anything there. It is going to appear like a blank. So how to say there is a space is I'm going to put a single quote around this. So if this character, if percentage %c is a, so how is it going to appear? It's going to single quote A, single quote. If it is B, single quote B, single quote. If there is a space, single quote space, single quote. So that you see that this is character A, character B, and there is a space here. So I even want to highlight that one, and I'm going to say it appears percentage, where is this? Percentage D times. So what is the first? This is S of I, and how many times it is appearing, count number of times. So you know very well, the minute there is a match, you are going to increase the counter. Which element you have taken? You have taken the ith element, and you are printing the ith element. Okay, so that is what you are supposed to do it. And, am I there at the right location? So let's see. Okay, so where am I? Okay, so I think I was supposed to be inside of this, so I typed it after the for loop, means this is the end of the for loop. So whenever you have this confusion, just keep the mouse pointer here and see whether it is. So I told you after the for loop, so that means when this jth for loop, when it reaches the end, that is when it reaches nth, you have completed the one cycle, so you print it. I think after talking some time, I print it slightly, I typed other way around, so I'm just going to pull it to the other one. So what did I do it? I just select it and go in this blank area, click and drag down. You'll be able to shift it easily, so that is much easier if at all you're doing it. Okay, I think that is suffix. It should work. So let me keep my finger crossed, and let me compile and run it, and just see whether things are appearing the way I expect it to be. So my string is to be or not to be. So I press enter. Okay, it is appearing. You see, T is appearing 3 times, O is appearing 4 times, and space is appearing 5 times, and so on. It is appearing, but only problem is this is not easy. It is answer is proper, but I don't want it to appear in this way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a slash n right at the beginning. You can put the slash n here or later. I'm going to start with the slash n, so that every character will appear in new lines. So this slash n is to just shift it by one line. So let me run it, and let me try the same thing. So that is also okay, but let it be in this way: to be or not to be. Okay, so so now it is going to appear beautiful. So you notice that T is appearing 3 times, O is appearing 4 times, space is appearing 5 times. I don't know because I think I put extra space here, and B is appearing 2 times, and so on. The others are not appearing. So let me just run it one more time with the simple thing over here, and that I'm going to type Udupi. There is no space in this one, Udupi. So U will appear 2 times because I typed the first letter also in small case. So U 2 times, remaining all 1 times, and you're going to see that. So this is how it's going to appear. So this is what is the program all about. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again in the other classes. Thank you.